Welcome back to Kaulig Nation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig Racing. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content this week. Xfinity Series review, Cup Series review, a little bit of a silly season dive, which you probably get weekly from us this point on. There's always stuff to talk about. Silly season, whether it's Kaulig-centric or somewhere else, and until Kaulig announces something, and until Chris Rice starts putting his foot in his mouth, there's probably always going to be stuff to speculate. By the way, we love Chris Rice. I think Chris Rice is a tremendous human being that a lot of people could take some examples from. But for me personally, I don't think it's fair to your fan base when you get them excited and don't deliver, which happened all of last year and seems to be continuing into this year. Poke My Nose is up this weekend, aka Pocono. AJ Allmendinger had some success back here in the day when he was with the RPM team. Probably because all three corners are different. Races a little bit at the road course, but once again, AJ races for a team that lacks straightaway power. Look at every road course they go to. They're great in the turns, great in the braking zones, and just don't seem to get the power out of the front stretch areas or back stretch areas, or in this case, side stretch areas that other teams do. So expectations should be kept in check across Xfinity and Cup Series this weekend. AJ is back in the Cup car this weekend for Pocono. We'll start here, a little bit of sponsor speculation. There seemed to be some indication that AJ is going to be in a Circle car this weekend. Hasn't been officially announced. You and I seen the preview that Kaulig put out a couple weeks ago. It's possible they just selected that for this weekend. But in your opinion, we'll start with some silly season stuff. If Circle is behind AJ yet again, is this a sign of things to come heading into 2025?
I certainly think it does. I absolutely do. I think Circle willingly and financially venturing out to support AJ as much as they have, not this year, truthfully, but in the last 2 months, they have been on his car a lot. So I don't know if this was a mid-season adjustment to their financials where they're putting some money in, but it certainly has been an increase, and a fairly significant increase recently. So I definitely think this could lead to more opportunities going into the rest of this year and next year for sure. We'll see how the results are. I am definitely not super confident in a good result this weekend at Pocono. Well, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. The track does drive similar to a road course because there's 3 unique corners. You have to have a lot of horsepower. And right now, the ECR engines seem to be lagging behind a little bit. And if you don't get all 3 corners right, you are cooked down the straightaways. So it's going to be a long weekend, I think, but it's made a little bit easier knowing we have a Circle on the car. So I'm happy about that.
I'm going to wait till we see some sort of entry list. I know sometimes they come out today. Most of the times it's tomorrow. We'll see what the entry list looks like. I hope they're on the car. I think that's a positive sign for AJ heading into next year. Might not be the most positive sign if you're a Daniel Hemrick fan. We'll see. He definitely goes hard with their advertising, though, so kudos to him. I'm curious to see how SVG does this weekend, man. First trip to Pocono. Again, races like a road course. I think the Kaulig Xfinity cars will be a little more competitive than the Cup cars. Not to say that they can't, strategize and, grind out, a top 15 finish in the 16 car this weekend in the Cup Series. But I think your top 15 and top 10 finishes are more likely in Pocono. I don't think they have the power to contend for a win unless they get some massive breaks go their way. But I'm really excited to watch SVG, see how he does this weekend at Pocono. Because again, the corners will play into, his style, but we know how Pocono is. Long straightaways into those heavy braking zones, and you can get 3, 4, 5 wide at times at Pocono, and it gets crazy. And I do wonder how he's going to handle all that.
Yeah, they call it the tricky triangle for a reason, right? Like it's, and those that don't know much about Pocono, it is a 2.5 mile, fairly flat track with 3 different corners. And let me tell you, it's mayhem. But once they get strung out and they get single file, which does tend to happen quite a bit at Pocono, if you can survive the first lap and get everybody settled in, it does start racing a lot like a road course. You got to set up your passes. It might take 2 laps to set up a pass. And you have to get a good drive off. So I actually do think I expect both AJ and SVG to finish in the top 10 in the Xfinity series, just closer to the bottom half. I'm kind of expecting 6th or 7th for AJ, maybe a 9th or 10th for SVG. I do think he's going to take well to this track. I really do. It's just, can he compete with the rest of the big cars, JGR, even RCR, in the Fords. I actually think Riley Herbst and or Cole Custer will probably win this weekend. Ford power comes to play. So with that in mind, I do think they're going to struggle to compete with the big teams, especially in the engine department. But they should be good enough to get some top 10s, and I do think that's really on the table. Cup side, I would be happy with top 20s. While the cars are more equal and the horsepower is not as big of an issue on the Cup side, it's just so hard to pass. So I definitely kind of expect the Cup cars both to struggle, but no reason the Xfinity cars can't get top 10s. I do expect that this week.
So let's go prediction-wise before we wrap this up. We'll give more updated predictions after we see some practice times on social media this weekend. But for now, I'm going to start with Xfinity. I'm going AJ 9th in Xfinity, SVG 15th, and Josh Williams 19th. And on the Cup side, I'm going AJ 20th and Daniel Hemrick 27th.
Yeah, so for Xfinity, I'm going to stay with AJ 7th. I think 7th is about where he's going to finish. SVG 9th. I'm feeling good about 9th. And Josh Williams 16th. Cup side, I think AJ will finish 19th. And Hemrick will finish 25th. So, again, a little bit better than you. I guess that's my glass half full side kicking in a little bit. But I think they'll be respectable, but definitely not competing for top 10s, top 15s on the Cup side.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend. Unloading is always important. Track position's important. So if they can get some good qualifying times in, that's going to make a difference in terms of what happens with the race. The question is, what do all you think? What are your Pocono predictions for this weekend? Comment down in the comment section below and share your thoughts there. Like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all. Follow us on our socials at Kaulig Nation on X. And then on Facebook, we're the Nation crew. Dinger Nation, Kaulig Nation, SVG Nation. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next week.